They know it's a sensitive situation in this country right now. They're trying to determine exactly the names. It's a Middle Eastern name, and the other one is also, quote, a weird name.
More and more likely, this could be a possible terror attack. A devoutly religious Muslim, so that now raises once again the possibility that this was a terror attack.
There's a huge problem in the Muslim world.
That they hate us, they want to kill us.
How do you fix that infection? I mean, because it seems to me that you'd have to fix it from within Islam.
These are religious extremists motivated by a belief in their God to kill us and sometimes themselves.
Worst terror attack since 9/11.
I'm so sick of this elephant in the room. It's called Muslims. It's called Islam. It's called the Quran.
Well, here they are. These are the faces of evil.
What they want to see is the face of the woman who killed 14 of our fellow citizens. Trump called for surveillance on mosques, then the establishment of a national database for Muslims in the U.S.
But Donald Trump insists it's for the safety of our country and not because he's a bigot or a racist.
I grew up in Kuwait. It's a little country beside Saudi Arabia. Very conservative Arab country in the Middle East.
I grew up in Jordan until I was 8. I've been to Iraq a few times, but mainly I grew up in Jordan. And then in 2014, me and my family decided to immigrate here. And then ever since then, I've just been living here.
They helped me with my upbringing by raising me pretty open to certain stuff. I went to a British school. I got taught to question stuff, it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to question things because everything has an answer to it. So I basically, I would say it's not the norm back home, but I'm glad I grew up this way.
My dad, he sews in Jordan. He used to own a sewing place where he'd make alterations and stuff like that. And then now, he owns a shop actually for men's clothing called Mod Style. In my upbringing, it's a very prominent thing in my life. My dad and my mom always encouraged me and my siblings to follow the religion. They taught us a lot about it. However, due to the fact that I live here instead of back in a Muslim country, I am a little bit behind or lacking some information.
I would say my school life was it was diverse. My school was pretty diverse. We had a lot of people from different countries. It was a private school, I believe. We had a lot of students from different Arab countries. I had a friend his mom was Mexican and his dad was Kuwaiti. So this was a new thing to me, essentially, because I stayed in the same school for 11 years, ever since 1st grade to 11th grade, because we don't have middle school, high school. Sometimes it's all lumped into all together.
Islam, to me, is like a safe space. I feel like I can confide in God. Even if I haven't been the best, I can still go to God in times of fear or need or anything like that.
Oh, it played a big role. I mean, my parents kept reminding me about being Muslim and how I should act and how to basically, I guess one of the main things they told me before coming here was to act like how I act back home, because that might help remove the stigma from Islamophobia and all of that, the misconceptions about the religion, and maybe people see me in the way I act and how I basically treat people, how I treat everyone. At the end of the day, we're all human, so that's basically what they told me to do.
These values cause me to have more respect for myself. They stop me from doing certain things that may put me towards a bad life path. they make me, like, yeah, basically that, like not engage in behaviors I shouldn't be engaging in.
It's pretty significant, actually. I grew up Muslim. My mom taught us verses from the Quran as kids, like me and my sister. I have some memorized. I probably should pray more. I don't pray as much as I hope to. But yeah, it's very, like, ever since I was young, I've always been taught new things about the religion, and I have accumulated certain knowledge, and I'm like pretty well versed, I'd say.
I know that like one core belief is to be like good to people, and also to like do all your prayers every single day, 5 times a day, and to fast, help those in need.
The 6 pillars of faith, and they're the 5 pillars of Islam. So the 6 pillars of faith is believing in God, His angels, His books, His prophets, His messengers. Basically, that's the 6 pillars of faith. And then you have the 5 pillars of Islam, which are like the practices that you should do. One of them being taking your shahada, which is how you become Muslim. Secondly, it's praying 5 daily prayers. The third is to give charity, fasting, and doing a pilgrimage to Mecca, which is what we call Hajj, but only if you're financially stable and able to. So if you're an old person who is frail and weak, you probably shouldn't, because it would be taxing on your health. I have done visits to Mecca, which is called Umrah, which is throughout the year, but Hajj is like a specific time of the year. I think it's sometime, because we use the lunar calendar. We use a lunar calendar, so it's different. So it's like within a month, right after Ramadan. I was taught that prayer helped with time management because of the way they're set up. You have 5 daily prayers, one really early in the morning. I'm assuming it changes, but I think now it's at like 4 in the morning, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And then you have one near noon, and then you have one in the afternoon, and then you have one at sunset, and then you have one in the evening. So these 5 daily prayers are spread out like evenly throughout the day, meaning that they help guide your day-to-day life and help you with time management, because you look at the clock or you hear the adhan, which is the call to prayer, you stop what you're doing, you'd go pray, do your thing, and then you go back to what you were doing. Or, in my opinion, I think it helps, because I feel like if I'm studying or if I'm like gaming, whatever, and like I hear it, I know like in between prayers, I tend to change my activity.
In my opinion, I feel like a lot of the times in TV shows, especially Netflix, they like misrepresent us. They like make us look very bad, and on top of that, they would have the characters that are supposed to be Muslim do things that go against the core values of Islam, and I think that's pretty disrespectful.
I mean, in, you know, the stereotype, it's terrorism, bad guys. You know, it's what's shown most of the time. Obviously, I do not like, obviously it's not true. It's very stereotypical, very Islamophobic. I would go so far as to call it racist as well, because it's mostly Middle Easterners. It's mostly Arabs that are portrayed this way. So that's most movies that I've seen have portrayed Muslim Arabs this way, which is kind of ironic to me, because there are Muslims all over the world. The biggest Muslim population on the world is in Indonesia, which is not even an Arab country. It's an East Asian country, Southern Asia, like Southeast Asia. It's very predominant, and they're very religious, extremely religious, more than most Arabs. You have places like Indonesia, Singapore, parts of India. There are 2.2 million Muslims in India. There are even Pakistan, which shows like if we were like that, no one would be willing to convert or willing to accept what our practices and our like they wouldn't be able to accept our practices and the way we act and how nice we are and like how it's portrayed.
It demonizes us in a way. It makes us look like we're so closed off, or what's the word? The opposite of progressive?
Regressive?
Yeah, regressive. Yeah, and closed off and stuff like that.
One-sided, very down the straight path. It's like a single thing. They don't divert any way from that path, really. So it's mostly just like them being, like us being portrayed as, you know, terrorists, suicide bombers. That's mostly what it's like. Oh, it differs completely. Completely. It's not even in the same, I wouldn't even say like it's in the same conversation at this point, because the stuff I was taught and the stuff I read about in the Quran and the stuff that I was basically practicing my whole life did not resonate with what was going on, like, or what was being said. So as a kid, like I'd say 9, 10, 11 years old, I was very confused and almost, I wouldn't want to say angry at the way we were portrayed, I just want to say annoyed. Because I wasn't angry, because here I see, like, I grew up with this, right? Ever since I was a child. I've been taught things that have been good for me and good for the people around me, and kindness, and basically being generous and giving and like to treat everybody equally. Meanwhile, the media just goes and basically disregards everything what I've been taught. So it's pretty annoying seeing that, and pretty like devastating.
And like the people that I see who are also Muslim like me and American, they still like hold true to their core beliefs, and they don't act the way that people act on Netflix.
At the end of the day, we're all human, right? We all want respect. We all want to be viewed as human. We don't want to be viewed as anything else, barbaric or anything less than what we are. So I'd just say, like, to be treated as normal people. We're not really that much different from normal humans.